Yeah. I'd like to welcome everybody to my podcast. I am your gracious host, like Kiss would say, Jupiter 9. And in today's podcast, today's show, I want to take you guys back to memory lane, man. You know what I'm saying? Memory lane for me, anyway. And tell you how it was like, growing up in Buffalo, New York, man. Born and raised from Buffalo, New York, you know what I'm saying? Currently 45 years old, and, what I can say about growing up in Buffalo, that it was cold as hell. A lot of snow, I just remember, as a kid, it's snowing all the time. That has kind of changed, the weather these days are kind of unpredictable, but I remember just it being so much snow and being a kid playing in the snow, and it'd be like piles of snow all over the place in the wintertime, and doing just typical kid stuff, you know what I'm saying? Chasing girls and playing hide go seek, climbing trees, and I grew up on the east side of Buffalo and Coit Broadway, so at that time there was a lot more unity in the neighborhoods. Now, I mean, if which I grew up in the era where in the 80s, in the 80s and 90s, but the 80s was just like more unity amongst the people in the neighborhood. And if you need like sugar or bread, you can ask a neighbor for sugar and bread. You can't do that today. I don't know about here in Tennessee, but back home you definitely can't do that now. Now, I mean, people just looked out for each other. You did something wrong in the neighborhood as a kid, and you got caught by the homies in the neighborhood or like the elders. You would get in trouble by the elders and get in trouble by your parents. You know what I'm saying? So you were getting in trouble 3 times, 4 times before you even get to like mom, dukes, and pops or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So just a different time, man. Just a different time. Being a kid back then was truly being a kid. Like today, what kids got to go through today with all this weird stuff, it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Growing up, it wasn't like that, man. You know what I'm saying? People were more giving, more loving, and growing up in Buffalo, being that it's not New York City and it's like a small, like upstate city, you know what I mean, in the middle of pretty much nowhere kind of type thing. People don't really come to Buffalo to, vacation and visit and nothing like that. It's not a tourist spot area, you know what I mean? Hardships of, going through the crack era in the 80s, seeing what it did to, certain family members, you know what I'm saying? They were being productive people in the neighborhood, going to school and all that, and then drugs end up catching them, you know what I'm saying? Crack cocaine. When the drugs hit the neighborhood, then that's when things changed and became violence, and that's when you started to see the violence and the shootings and the sirens every night, you know what I'm saying? And then, you had Sly Green running terror on the city in the 80s and early 90s, you know what I'm saying? So it was, growing up in the beginning, it was cool. Then, like I said, once crack cocaine came into the neighborhoods, things started to change. You know what I'm saying? It went from, the unity, you know what I'm saying, the breakdancing, there too, the breakdancing, I was a real big Michael Jackson fan, like a lot of kids were back then. I had the penny loafers, you know what I'm saying, I had the Thriller jacket. My mom's, she bought me the Thriller jacket from J.C. Penney's, man, the red jacket with all the zippers on it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I still had that jacket. That jacket probably worth a grip right now, but I remember being a big Michael Jackson fan and, sitting on mom's bed watching the American Music Awards, I think it was, when he did the first time he did the moonwalk. That blew my mind. I'm like, yo, I want to be just like Michael. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I had the penny loafers. Who didn't have the penny loafers with the penny in it and all that shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who didn't want to be Mike at that time? When he did that moonwalk, I think every kid wanted to be Mike, man. Before all the allegations of, you know, all the other stuff. But, yeah, man, Buffalo was, you know, it was a very, very nice city at one point in time, on the east side. You know, I remember being a kid going downtown to Woolworths, and mom's buying us clothes from Woolworths downtown, M&A's, you know what I'm saying? Like, these places are no longer around, but I remember, you know, going shopping at these places still, like, you know, and catching the bus downtown and all that, and mom's taking us clothes shopping for school at Woolworths and M&A's, and I just remember downtown just being really nice, and everybody just, you know what I'm saying, just mad people shopping downtown. And then all the stores started to close, all the jobs started leaving in the mid-'80s, you know what I'm saying, and then in the early 90s, all the factory jobs left in the beginning of the 90s. Then the city just started going down the hill from there. You know, downtown was horrible, man. It was like a ghost town at one point in time. Now it's coming back. You know, a lot of restaurants downtown are, you know what I'm saying, downtown is starting to become popping again. But I remember downtown just being a ghost city, man. You know what I'm saying? People would just, you know, it was like mad prostitutes downtown and all that, like, know what I mean? And just, it was nothing good about going downtown in the early 90s, beginning of the 90s, late 80s, beginning of the 90s. There was nothing good about, you know, if you were going downtown then, you were going to cop, or you were going to use, like, you know what I'm saying? Or you were going to trick, or, you know, prostitute or whatever. But, you know, but the city is starting to come back a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I truly believe that Buffalo, it's got some good qualities, man. You know, people make fun of, you know, Buffalo, the weather and all that, which is, a lot of it is true. The winters are atrocious. You know what I'm saying? This past winter, you know, they're getting 80 inches. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that can happen at any moment. And I remember some winters we didn't get much at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? People's perception of Buffalo that it snows all the time, it really don't. But when it do, and when it hit, you know what I'm saying? When that lake effect band come across, and, you know, off the lake, boy, man. And that's what's so crazy about being in Tennessee, is that, you know, I think it snowed for like 2 minutes here, and winter was over. And I had to get used to that. Like, this weather here is super unpredictable. Like, it'll be cold, and then the next day it'll be like 85. On the day before, like the day before, it will be like 40, and then the next day it'll be like 75, 80. And I'll be like, what the heck? Or it'll snow for like, excuse me, it'll snow for like 2 minutes, and then it'll start raining. Like, this weather is very unpredictable. But I'm glad I don't have to deal with the snow, man. Because, okay, let me tell you something else about living in Buffalo. If you decide that you want to move to Buffalo, you know what I mean? First of all, I'm hoping you have a vehicle. Because, why? Because at times it can snow so bad that you won't have nowhere to walk on, like, the sidewalks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nowhere to walk. So a lot of times you have to walk in the street. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you got these big ass plows coming down the street, and you praying and hoping that you don't get hit, like from a plow or a vehicle or a car. Like, you're hoping that you don't get hit. So you got to kind of like, when you see vehicles coming your way, you got to kind of like jump in the snow on the sidewalk, wait for the vehicles to pass, and then jump back in the street. You know what I'm saying? If you walk in the snow, it'll take you forever. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people don't shovel their sidewalks, or businesses don't shovel their sidewalks right away. So boom, you gotta walk on the side of the street. You know what I'm saying? And that could be real dangerous. This has been a couple times I almost got hit. So that's one thing about living in Buffalo, man. The snow, like, it can snow heavy, and it's a lot of times not that light snow, it's the real heavy wet snow. So another thing, you gotta know how to drive in snow. So if you come like from California or places that don't get snow like that, good luck. Because you gotta know how to turn that wheel, you know, when you start to slide and all that. Like, a lot of people will freak out. See, me, when I was driving the snow, I used to have fun, man. But it'll be times where, you know, a storm or a band will come through, like a lake effect band will come through, and your vision is, you can't see in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you would have to get out in the middle of the street and wipe off your windows. And the thing I used to do when the vision became zero vision, I used to like just follow the tracks in the snow. You know, follow the tracks, and that's the way you can get home safely, by following the tracks in front of you. You know, from the last vehicle. So that's what I would do. You know, if a winter band came through. I remember, like I said, I had a friend came visit me. She was from downstate. You know what I mean? She was from White Plains, you know what I'm saying? Now, downstate New York City, you know what I'm saying? They don't get snow like us, man. Like, they get snow. They probably get snow something like on a comparison to like Chicago or something like that. But there's very few cities that get snow like Buffalo, man. Like, the snowfall at times is unreal. But the misconception is that, you know, it snows all the time, and it really don't. You get some winters where you don't get jack. You know what I'm saying? You don't get Nathan, but that winter come back with a vengeance. Like, hey, I gave you a break for a year. Now it's time for me to destroy you guys. Know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the thing about Buffalo. You gotta learn how to drive in that snow. You know what I'm saying? And when you can't see in front of you, you can't be freaking out. You know what I mean? I always used to think it was fun. You know, October storm, that was fun. I remember when that happened, I was actually I was working at my job. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing is, when it hit, like, everything got, like, cars were stranded in the middle of the street. All these cars were stranded. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we were around closing time. I think we closed at like 10 o'clock at the time. So I'm closing up. I'm getting ready to leave, and make a long story short, my boss was like, hey, listen, all these people just walked in from the storm. They're stranded. You see all these cars stranded in the middle of the street. You know what I mean? So a lot of people came into the restaurant to, you know, stay warm, use the bathroom or whatever. And he was like, hey, listen, I need you to stay. Would you mind staying late to, you know, make some extra money, staying overnight and yada, yada, yada. And I looked at him like he was crazy. I was like, nope. I'm going home. He looked at me like, what? What do you mean you going home? He looking at me like, huh? You going home? How? I was like, I'm going home. Like, I'm tired. I'm ready to go. I didn't put up my shift. I don't care what happens outside, yo. I'm going home. You know what I'm saying? So he looked at me like he's crazy. He's like, oh, okay, I can't stop you. Like, know what I mean? I walked home. It took me forever, but I didn't live that far anyway. I live like, 45 minutes away from the restaurant, something like that, 45 hour away. No, like 45 minutes. And, no, about an hour. And it took me like 2.5 to get home. I mean, the snow was ridiculous. It was high as I don't know what. And I just remember the snow was so high, I'm walking on top of cars. Like, there's snow covering all the cars all the way up to the car top. And I'm walking on top of cars, you know what I'm saying? I'm walking on all this snow, and I made it home. I made it home, you know what I mean? But yeah, it can, and another thing too, it can get brisky. Yeah, it can get brisky outside, like minus 9 at times, -2, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So you gotta really dress warm for that, you know what I mean? Really dress warm, you know. If you double up on like pants and stuff like that, you know, you be all right, man. One thing I used to hate is like if I had to catch the bus and it's like -2, -9 outside, my fingertips would be like numb. I used to hate that. Like, I could take any other part of my body being like cold, but my fingertips, oh man, I could not take that. Another thing, you know, going to the Bills games, going to the Sabres games, you know, hockey games, those are fun, you know what I'm saying? The festivals that happen in the summertime, those are cool. You have like the Polish festival, the Italian festival, and then you have Juneteenth, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then what's the other one? The Taste of Buffalo, you know what I mean? Then you have the fair. Those are things you can do in the summertime. But you know, it's like when you're from Buffalo, New York, and you did all that stuff each and every year, it's like it gets played out. Like you want something different, like, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Like Buffalo is more of like a city for like a family to move in. You know, it's more of a family city. It's not really a fast-paced moving city. Like, know what I mean? Like, just very like laid back kind of city. It has crime just like any other city, you know, in certain areas. But in certain areas of Buffalo are like really nice, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like North Buffalo is really nice, you know. There's other areas of Buffalo that's really nice, you know what I'm saying? North Buffalo is like the college students and, you know, artsy students area. You know, a lot of people try to run to North Buffalo to hide, and that ain't really it. You know what I'm saying? You really can't hide in North Buffalo, you know what I'm saying? Cheektowaga used to be really nice, but I don't know about now. Started going downhill before I left, you know what I'm saying? Lockport, you know, areas like that. Amherst, you know, Orchard Park, you know, those are like nice areas. So just like any city got nice and good areas. What else? You're gonna get taxed to death, of course, living in New York State. That's why I try like, you know, people from New York City say you're not from New York. I'm like, man, I'm paying New York taxes. What do you mean? Like, all these taxes we pay? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what they be talking about. What else about Buffalo, man? People love the Bills, man. I tell you, like, there's no being a Bills fan. That's deep rooted in Buffalo. Like, I think you come out the womb being a Bills fan. Like, everywhere you go, you're gonna see Bills gear. Like, yeah, I know it's the hometown and all that, but some cities team hop. Like, their fans team hop. You know what I'm saying? Not in Buffalo. It's Bills or nothing. You know what I mean? We love the Bills, man. We love the Sabres too, but we love the Bills, man. That's all I can say. You know what I'm saying? It's really Bills Mafia, yo. Because when this team was terrible, we still supported. We still went to the games. Most of the games still sold out. Like, love the Bills. You know what I'm saying? We love the 90s Bills, you know, Andre Reed and Jim. I met Jim Kelly. Not really a fan of his personality, but, you know, I met a lot of the guys from the 90s, you know what I'm saying? I met Frank Wright at school. He came to our school one time. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I met Jim Kelly. I wasn't too impressed. I thought he was kind of cocky, you know, but a lot of athletes are cocky. You know what I'm saying? We love the Bills, man. I'm gonna be a Bills fan, Bills Mafia all day until they put me in the dirt. You heard? But yo, we love the Bills, man. Whether they're good, bad, we love the Bills, man. That's one thing about Bills fan. They love the Bills. We love the Bills. We like die-hard Bills fans. Like, I think Bills fans are some of the best fans in the NFL. I'm not even saying it because I'm from Buffalo, born and raised, but I don't see no other fans really like us, really. When the team is down, we still, or the team, where the fans still support, you know what I'm saying? Cheer them on still. Like, man, we love the Bills. What else, man? What else about Buffalo? You got some good people in Buffalo, but you got a lot of jerk offs in Buffalo. The attitudes. I think that's just New York State, period. Attitudes, man. People will run you over if you try to cross the street. People will, cut you off in traffic, like, and people's attitudes, man. I guess it's that New York State. I think it's just the whole state, because it's like that every city I've been in New York State. You know what I mean? People's attitudes is just horrible for the most part. People don't talk to each other. You know what I mean? New Yorkers don't talk to each other. New Yorkers hate other New Yorkers. Word. Like, here is kumbaya, everybody's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing I'm still getting used to, is like, everybody look out for each other here for the most part. Everybody get along. Things are just kumbaya here. And Buffalo is the opposite. People are jerks, you know what I'm saying? Buffalo's still very racist, still to this day. More so on the sneak tip now, but it's still like, not too long ago, somebody called me the N-word, screaming out. It was a Caucasian kid, and he called me the N-word, screaming out his vehicle when I was walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? Because I lived in the Depew. Depew is another small little town in Buffalo, but it's nice. It's all right. And he called me the N-word, just screaming out the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? And I look back. Of course, he's not gonna get out the vehicle, but that's racist. Very racist. And still to this day, very segregated. Buffalo's very segregated. You know what I'm saying? You got the so-called African Americans on the east side. You got the Latinos on the west side. And you got the Caucasians in, areas like Depew and Amherst and Orchard Park and North Buffalo type in the area. And you got like the Irish and the Italians are like in like the South Buffalo area. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, if you could deal with that, I mean, Buffalo's cool. You know what I'm saying? Buffalo's cool. But one thing about Buffalo, man, it'll make you tough, man. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not a lot of opportunities job-wise. The thing about Buffalo is, if you don't have a job by the time winter hits, you're screwed, because you won't find one, because a lot of companies are not hiring around that time because business slows down, you know what I'm saying? So they don't need the extra help. So if you don't have a job by winter, a lot of times you won't find one. So you're left with, getting on public assistance or, hopefully finding a part-time job, to kind of help with like your rent and stuff. So, that you want to keep in mind too as well. Not a lot of opportunities, definitely if you don't have a vehicle, man, it's going to be really tough for you to find work. You know what I'm saying? Really tough for you to find work opportunities to where, you can succeed That's why a lot of people just do their own thing, you know what I mean? Start businesses in Buffalo, you know what I'm saying? It's tough, man. It's tough, especially for so-called African Americans. I think it's a little bit tougher, you know what I'm saying? But you got to do what you got to do. You got to, somehow, some way, find a way to make it work, you know what I mean? If you're going to stay there. Like I said, things are turning around in Buffalo, as far as like opportunities, somewhat, but I noticed the big difference from Tennessee and Buffalo is like, is unlimited jobs here in Tennessee, man. They're begging people to come work. Yeah, you can get a job like nothing here. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Before I left, I struggled so hard to find work, you know what I mean? Back home, it was tough. But, if you in the right field, as far as work, like, you can always find cooking jobs, you can always find nursing jobs, those type of jobs, working in the hospital, doctor, they always got healthcare jobs in Buffalo. Buffalo's like the top, like, city for like healthcare jobs, you know what I'm saying? What else type of jobs? Like cooking jobs, plenty of cooking jobs, man. You can land a cooking job. If you're a short order cook or 5-star restaurant cook or chef, yeah, you can find work easy. Know what I'm saying? And luckily for me, I was a short order cook, so I never really was out of work too long. But by me not having a vehicle, it was kind of tough to get to opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have a vehicle, that's gonna make it tough, man. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna make it tough. You know what I'm saying? What else about Buffalo, man? The police in Buffalo, some of them are jerks. Like I said, some of them are jerks, some of them are racist. Yeah. So, yeah, the police, yeah. Especially the ones in like, not so in the Buffalo police, but like Cheektowaga, yeah, you're gonna have a problem. Amherst, like I said, Orchard, there, definitely Orchard Park. You know what I mean? What else, man? Oh, you can go visit Rick James' grave in Buffalo. I just want to put that in there. You know what I'm saying? What else, man? But the crazy thing is, winters last kind of long, like up until like April sometime. You know what I'm saying? Like middle April. Sometimes winter don't break until like middle April. So winters kind of last kind of long. So, you pretty much, being that the winters are so rough, you're pretty much in the house like all winter. You know what I'm saying? You're probably just going out to get food, going to work, and that's it. And you pretty much staying in the house. So, with that being said, you're in the house for like up until November, December, January, February, March, April, for like 6 months, man. So, by the time winter breaks finally, you're like, yo, I want to get out, man. I gotta get out of this house. So that's why you'll see like a lot of people when sometimes when it's winter and there's actually a nice day, you'll see people out with like wearing shorts, walking their dog and all that in the middle of winter. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, what the? If you somebody from somewhere else, you'd be like, what the heck? Is he wearing shorts in the middle of winter? It's because people been cooped up in the house. You know what I'm saying? They want to get out. So you'll see that as well. What else, man? if you're a so-called African American, like I said, you might get slated on jobs just because you're that. But they're gonna make it look like, it's not because of that. It's what they're looking for something else, but it's really not that. So yeah, it'd be a lot of that type of thing going on. But like I say, that stuff is slowly changing, but Buffalo's still I believe Buffalo's still 10 years behind of everybody else, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? I believe they're still 10 years behind. They got a long way to go to catch up with everybody else. Just on, the growth of the city. You know what I mean? They got a lot of catching up to do. It's growing a little bit, but they got a long way to go, man. They got a long way to go, man. Still a very racist city. Let's just say that. Yeah, a long way to go. So I think that's it, man. But well, I guess I can talk a little bit more. Growing up in Buffalo, man, I just, I remember one time my uncles used to like to give me wedgies and all that coming home from school. Remember wedgies? I would come home from school and he was like, "Come here, man," and I'd be like, "What, Unc?" Because my uncle lived with us for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? At a certain point, everybody from the family lived with us for a little bit. But my one uncle, my Uncle Z, he gave me a wedgie so bad, man. You know what I mean? He used to do stuff like that all the time. Give me wedgies. You know what I'm saying? All the time. I don't know. And he thought it was the funniest thing, man. You know what I mean? He thought it was the funniest thing to give me a wedgie after I come home from school. And, yeah. And what else, man? My Uncle T, yeah, man, he would mess with me. But he wouldn't do the wedgie thing. He would just lay on top of me, punch me, stuff like that. And I remember one time he did that. I was over at my grandparents' house, Grandma Duke's house, Grandpop's house, and he did that one time. And when he got up, I picked up one of those glass lighters, not lighters, ashtrays, and I threw it at his head and cracked him in the head with it. He was like, "Oh," he was bleeding. He was like, "Oh, I'm bleeding." I still remember that, man. But like I said, it was some good times, growing up there, and there was a lot of bad times, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of bad times, but I try not to think about the bad times, it is what it is, man. But, again, you going to Buffalo, you know what I'm saying? It'll make you stronger. Definitely. Just the obstacles that you have to deal with in order to survive, in Buffalo. The lack of jobs and the consciousness of the people. Yeah. But yeah, that's my take in this podcast episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please share this with everybody, you know what I'm saying? But that's my take. I am your gracious host, Jupiter 9, and I want to say peace and love to everybody. Take care. 1.